Hey guys, what up YouTube? This is Dana here, and I am today going to be doing just a video talking about my thoughts, basically, of the last two trailers for the upcoming Super Mario Brothers movie, which is coming out next year. 2023 is going to be a pretty big year for Nintendo all around, which I'm of course excited about, given how big a Nintendo fan I am. With movies, of course, video games, the new Zelda game. Hopefully, of course it's not going to happen, but hopefully we'll get some Metroid Prime 4 information. Maybe even a new 3D Mario game. I can only hope. You can see I'm playing some Super Mario 64, playing with Mario's nose, and his eyebrows, and his hat, and his mouth. The very first thing anybody ever saw of 3D Mario. Hard to believe this game is approaching 30 years old now. Almost as old as I am! But I digress. So, knows me, I love Mario. I love the Mario games. I love the Mario worlds. I love all the Mario games, basically. I think they're all, like, masterpieces. They're fantastic. And I loved it so much that back when I was a young whippersnapper, 13, I actually watched the live-action Super Mario Brothers movie with John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins and Dennis Hopper, which was an absolutely horrible adaptation as a Mario movie. It had nothing in common with Mario apart from the names and some very vague references to things in the game. It was a complete and utter... It wasn't a real Mario movie. It was not Mario. And I do want to bring that up just to sort of preface that before I talk about what I think of the trailers so far of the new movie, which, you know, I can't judge a movie fully until I see it, but trailers do, of course, give an idea, like, whether or not I'm going to like a movie or whether or not I'm not going to like it. Like, for example, like, back in the day before The Dark Knight came out, you know, immediately when I saw that first trailer of The Dark Knight, I knew this was going to be a movie that was just so good. Of course, the trailers weren't even able to do justice with how just incredible the film itself was when it came out. But as soon as I saw the first Dark Knight trailer and saw Heath Ledger's Joker, I knew this was going to be one of the best movies I'd ever see. I just didn't realize just how much magnitude of that it was going to be until I saw it. So while trailers don't tell the full picture, and you shouldn't necessarily judge a book or a film by its cover, as it were, that's not to say that trailers aren't, in some capacity, some foundation for how the film's actually going to be. And I have to say, after watching the most recent trailers for the Super Mario Brothers film, I kind of have mixed feelings about the direction I see it going. Like, I err on the side of, you know, I want to give it the benefit of the doubt because Miyamoto-San actually is much more involved with the production of this film. He actually is, you know, having a lot of input and making sure, like, things are a certain way because, you know, Mario's his baby. Like, it just is. Like, Mario is Miyamoto's baby. And so, I do think that, by and large, the fact that he is having a lot of input with the film is a good sign. Like, I'm sure it's gonna be, like, a better adaptation than what we've seen before, generally speaking. And I do very much like the visual style of the world. I think Mushroom Kingdom, just aesthetically, it's very bright, it's colorful, and it's very pretty. Like, it looks like what I'd imagine Mushroom Kingdom looking like if it were like on a PS5 or something. But like, it looks like how I'd want Mushroom Kingdom to look in like a big Hollywood studio production. So that I absolutely think they got very much correct. Some of the character models I'm a little unsure of. Chris Pratt is Mario, like, I really like Chris Pratt. I think he's a great actor, and I've loved him in the Guardians of the Galaxy films. And even though I've mostly moved on from Marvel for obvious reasons, and but I love him. I even liked him in the Jurassic World movie, as horrible as the second one was, and I didn't even bother seeing the third one. And I hear he's really good in the new movie Terminal List. Of course, I liked him in the Lego movies. I liked him even Parks and Rec way back when. So yeah, I think Chris Pratt's great. But like, he's just one of those sort of like, Mario? Really? This guy is Mario? It's like, okay. And in both the trailers I've seen him in, it's like, he hasn't had that many lines, and I think his voice, from what I've heard, it's like, it's fine. He's not really doing a voice. He's just being Chris Pratt, but it's like, it's fine, but I don't know. I almost feel like they're playing it too safe in a way. Like, like Charles Martinet, the guy who's been voicing Mario for darn close to 30 years, again, about as old as I am, nod nod wink wink, like, he's done a lot of other voice acting stuff. I mean, he was a stage actor before he was doing a lot of video game stuff. Like, I almost wonder why they couldn't have at least given him a shot, at least, let him try to come up with his own unique Mario voice for the film, and just see what happens. Like, I don't know, it is sort of, sort of a sentimental for me, just because, to me, like, Charles Martinet is Mario. Like, I don't think of Mario and don't think of him, so anybody else as Mario just feels sort of, I guess, sacrilegious to me in a way. It is just sort of admittedly a bit of a personal preference, which I could live with that, but that is how I feel. But, I haven't seen all of it, and, there might be more in the final film or the next trailer than what we see with Pratt's voice, so Mario's actual character design, it's like, that's the other thing I'm a little bit torn on, because, like, it's like, it's not even that I don't like it per se, like, it looks enough like the Mario from the games, but it just looks off in a way, like, it almost looks too, like they're going for a mix between sort of photorealistic proportions as well as just sort of the more sort of cartoony, sort of plump look that Mario has in the games. Again, I'm very much a stickler for exact detail, and like down to the last atom, I always like everything to be as authentically recreated as possible. That said, like, it's not bad. I think it works for the world of the movie overall. I do really am not a huge fan of Donkey Kong's design, and I know Miyamoto said we're trying to make it more like the original Donkey Kong arcade game, which is fine, and yeah, it looks pretty close to that, but I don't know, I like the Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong, I just like it more. That's just the Donkey Kong I grew up with, and that's just always going to be my preferred Donkey Kong model, but to each their own. The next one I'm going to talk about is Princess Peach, voiced by Anya Taylor-Joy. And from what I heard in the trailer of her voice, it sounds good. Like it doesn't, Peach in the games is just sort of a very demure, sort of, dare I say, peachy sounding voice. Anya Taylor-Joy's voice definitely does not sound like that, but it sounds like something that probably makes sense for the character and the character model, and I do think that, again, the character model was like a little bit off-putting to me at first, just because, again, it looks a little almost too normal humanoid at times. Like, I know Princess Peach is a little more normally proportioned than Mario, but she sort of still has this cartoonish look. Which, like, don't get me wrong, it still has. I mean, it is like a cartoon movie or 3D movie, But, you know, just the way her face looks, it's almost like, again, they're going for that sort of mix between the two of being sort of partially, like, real human face proportion versus more cartoon proportion. And, like, oftentimes, like, I prefer it if they just do one style or the other rather than sort of trying to merge the two, which just sort of makes things, at least in animation, I often think it makes things look a little odd. I do have to say, I'm really liking Jack Black as Bowser more and more as I see him and hear him. I think that, you know, he was one of the guys to voice Bowser that I was probably the least, you know, felt least bad about. I think the character model looks pretty much perfect. I think it looks exactly like Bowser from the games, and he's genuinely scary at times. Like, he doesn't seem like he's just going to sort of be like a sort of cringy slapstick villain or anything like that, which is very much a relief, thank goodness. And even his voice, like, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but, like, it doesn't sound that far-fetched. I mean, with the exception of Super Mario Sunshine, Bowser's really never had a voice actor. He's always just had sort of his sort of maniacal ho 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 laugh, sort of evil Santa Claus laugh, ho ho ho, if you want to call it that. But I like Jack Black's voice as Bowser. I think that is going to work out very well for this movie. And frankly, given all he has to compare it to really in the voice acting department is his voice in Super Mario Sunshine. We all know how that was, and I guess his voice in like the cartoon. And, of course, the live-action King Koopa guy and Dennis Hopper. So, yeah, there are definitely things in the trailers that I like. I do like, however, that the second trailer especially, it does really seem like they're paying homage to everything Mario. Like the line where Princess Peach says, Anya Taylor-Joy says, you know, there's millions of, like, galaxies out there in the universe, and you have to protect them all. It's like, that was like a reference to Super Mario Galaxy, which is probably my favorite Mario game of all time. And just sort of referencing just the history of Mario and the lore, like it's clear like the people some of the people working on this movie are actually like legitimate fans. That, along with the fact that Miyamoto, of course, has his input. And, of course, there's a scene near the end where they're having a little race in carts. Essentially, you know, reenacting a race from Mario Kart on a road that is made out of a rainbow, on a rainbow road. So it's pretty clear that they are trying to keep in mind the things that fans love, you know. I get the feeling that they're going to try to, like, straddle a line between making it accessible enough for just sort of the everyday person, you know, children and families that, you know, obviously they like Mario, because, I mean, how can you not like Mario? But they're trying to make it so that even if you haven't been following Mario for, like, the nearly 4 decades, that you still have that sort of, you know, accessibility to it. But again, it's also throwing in things that, you know, hardcore Mario fans are gonna get, like references to the different games. We saw a scene with an army of Yoshis. We saw a bunch of Toads, even if they did complain about how adorable they were. Like, by the way, that whole scene I was a little unsure of. Like, they were talking about, like, we're adorable. It's like, I feel like that's almost too self-conscious and too, like, breaking, like, the fourth wall of sorts. So that line I'm not entirely sure about. But moving on. But like, yeah, like the Mario Kart scene. And like, even the scene where he meets Donkey Kong and everyone, it's like in a sort of a Coliseum, sort of looks like it's some sort of like Aztec-esque Coliseum, which would make sense because Donkey Kong Country is sort of looks like somewhere like a Mesoamerican island, I guess. But the scene with everybody, they were shouting Mario, Mario, Mario. Like, that reminded me of the the old trailer for Super Mario Bros. 3, where everybody all over the world is shouting Mario, which is great. And it even looked like there was another Kong there in the stand, sort of dressed like like a king, like a King Kong, if you will. Like, it looked like, I don't know if it was Cranky Kong or like another Kong, but it definitely had sort of a sort of Aztecian sort of attire on, which was cool. It's like, so they're making references to even other games in the Mario universe. Like, the Donkey Kong, technically, I think, by word of God or word of Nintendo, does technically take place in the Mario universe. At least originally it does. I mean, I don't know if the country games are like their own canon or not. I mean, who cares? It's Mario. It's all fun. The other thing that definitely is a pretty good sign, though, is the music. Like, it's clear that they're remixing it a little bit and making it sound a little bit different from the games, but, like, they are having the actual music, theme songs from Mario, the Koji Kondo music. And so it's clear that they want to make it as authentic as possible in certain regards. Overall, I mean, I'm absolutely going to see this movie in the theaters. Heck, I might even see it twice. Of course, my nephew's 4 years old and he loves Mario, so I almost wish I could see it with him, but he doesn't live in the same state anymore as I do. But whatevs, I'm sure he'll get a chance to see it on his own time. Like, overall, like, I'm excited for it. Maybe not as, like, keen on some things that I'd like to be. Like, I still am, like, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and err on the side of caution. Like, you know, I'm like, obviously, I'm not expecting it to be exactly like the games. You know, everything's gonna look exactly the same or sound exactly the same. Obviously, that's not gonna happen. But that doesn't mean that some things that, from what I see for the trailer, look like they could have been a little bit better, touched up a little bit, or a little closer, even proportionality to the way the characters looked in the games. Again, this movie is being made by the people that made the Minions movies, and I don't actually hate those movies like some people do. I think they're just sort of dumb fun. Like, they're very sort of conveyor belt movie-y, like, they're not super high quality. So, like, that does give me a bit of a red flag, but I think the studio also made the Hotel Transylvania films, which I actually really liked those movies. So, I guess what I'm saying is, we'll see, you know, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. You know, there's definitely things that I see that I really like, that really jive with me, like Bowser, like Jack Black's voice as Bowser, and other things that I'm a little more unsure about, such as just the physical look of Mario and Peach and Donkey Kong. That said, I also forgot to mention, we also got to see a little bit of Charlie Day, and there was even some, like, Luigi's Mansion vibes in that second trailer. Like, it looked like there was a scene with Luigi, who's voiced by Charlie Day, like, running away from something with, like, a big, like, vacuum cleaner, of course, which he would use to suck up ghosts in the Luigi's Mansion games. Like, I almost feel like if the movie is successful, I would love to actually see a Luigi's Mansion movie, or heck, even like a Luigi's Mansion, like, TV show. Like, that could definitely give a different vibe, and like, I mean, I love the Luigi's Mansion games. Luigi's Mansion 3, especially on Switch, is a fantastic title, and it sold more than 10 million copies, I'm pretty sure, so, like, I think now's as good a time as any other to consider spin-offs, guys, if you're listening. But I digress. Like, overall, I'm excited for the movie. Have a few things that I'm a little more on the fence about, but I'm definitely going to give it a chance, and I think it's made by people that are mostly competent, people that clearly have a passion for the fantastic, dare I say it, legendary and timeless franchise that is Super Mario. And I know it'll be fun. Like, I've never, like, watched or played anything Mario in it that I haven't had some fun with. And I don't even the live action Bob Hoskins movies. Yeah, it's a bit of a. I don't even want. Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I'll just say that. So like, I know I'm gonna have some fun with this movie when I see it in the theater. How objectively good it's gonna be, remains to be seen. It definitely looks like it has pretty high production values, and it has actual gamers, actual like Mario fans working on it, and of course, the man that created the legendary Italian plumber, Shigeru Miyamoto, having extensive input. So there are definitely things that give me hope, and it's a good sign. And like maybe this will be like a test run. Like even if they mess a few things up, maybe they can revisit things for an inevitable sequel, and look at what worked with the first one and look at what didn't. Make a better sequel and a better spin-off. Luigi's Mansion, guys. I'm telling you, Luigi's Mansion. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my video on my channel and for listening to my rambling, schlambling, scrambling thoughts on the most recent two trailers for the Super Mario Brothers movie. Woohoo! Take care.